Hello and welcome to today's episode of Caden's Take. My name is Caden. Before we start with the Hall of Fame news, I just wanted to talk about a couple other things in the MLB that just happened. Nolan Arenado got traded to the Cardinals. That was a crazy deal, and I am very excited for the Cardinals. As Nolan Arenado has mentioned for the last 2 years, he would love to play in a Cardinals uniform. Now he gets the opportunity to play in the hot corner, along with the other hot corner being Paul Goldschmidt, and the two of them probably batting back to back in the lineup. Those two are both incredible players, and I think the Cardinals are going to have a great season. Another thing that just came out 10 minutes ago from when I'm recording this video, obviously not 10 minutes ago from when this video comes out, but the MLB proposed on Friday a 54 game regular season instead of a 162 game, which I first found is weird, but then I read what happened. Players would get 100% pay, and the season would start a month later. The offer would include expanded playoffs and a DH. The union is deliberating. I think that's very interesting. I'm intrigued by the fact that they want to just cut 8 games. Like, I don't see the relevance of just not playing 8 games, but I definitely think if teams don't make it by a game or two, they're going to say, well, if we had those 8 games, we can maybe have pulled it off. But I understand they're going to start a month later to try and make sure everything's calm, collected, and everybody's ready to go, especially with the uncertainty of Glendale, Arizona for the spring training. Let's get into it. So, last week, the MLB did not put anyone in the National Baseball Hall of Fame. It was a very interesting decision, but once you look deeper into it, it becomes less interesting. Before we continue, I would like to just pay our respects that for the first time from the two inaugurations and votings, there were the most amount of players that passed away. There's 140 players currently in the Baseball Hall of Fame, and 9 of them died in the 11-month span between the two announcements. So I feel I'm very sad for their families, and I hope the best for those incredible players. So, part of the reason that nobody got in was because the 4 biggest names on the ballot were Barry Bonds, Roger Clemens, Curt Schilling, and Sammy Sosa. Well, if you didn't know, Barry Bonds, Sammy Sosa, and Roger Clemens all cheated, and Curt Schilling not only had a dangerous mouth, but he also went after the Hall of Fame committee in the past couple of years for not electing him. And hours after the announcement that nobody got in, he announced that he does not want to even be on the ballot in 2022, that they're just going to disrespect his name once again. He doesn't even want the bother. So, I do think Curt Schilling is the only one on this slide who deserves to go in, because I don't think a cheater should be in the Hall of Fame, no matter what you say. If he cheats, he doesn't deserve it. But, not everybody sees it that way. And I really do hope that Curt Schilling gets in 2022. I was surprised he wasn't the one and only, but you know, that's the way it goes sometimes. And I mean, I feel bad for him, but at the same time, I understand why he didn't get in, and I don't think he'll get in 2022, especially with him pulling his name out. All right, but who got in last year? You see, there's this guy named Derek Jeter. I don't know if anybody kind of has heard of him before, but in his first year on the ballot, he got 396 votes, and there was 397 voters. For those of you at home that cannot do math, that is one person that did not vote for him on his first ballot, 99.7% of the vote. And yeah, I mean, Derek Jeter, he kind of deserves it. He was an incredible player, an incredible person, and his companion, the only other person that got on, was a man named Larry Walker, who was on his 10th and final year of the ballot, and got 304 votes, 76.6% when you need 75. They were both great players, and they both deserve it. But Derek Jeter was making it on his first ballot, and it's the funny contrast of the only two guys that made it. One of them on their first ballot, one of them on their last ballot. But that's how the game works sometimes. So some of the honorable mentions and people that I think should be in that, of course, I didn't think were going to be elected in on the 2021 ballot, but hopefully gets in their future is Torrey Hunter, Mark Burley, and Jeff Kent. Kent is one of the best second basemen of all time, and he played with his MVP seasons in San Francisco, and he played great. Um, he definitely deserves it. Torrey Hunter had a great career. He was never the best out. He was never the best of the best, but he was always that a really really good player that you could rely on if you had him out there. And Mark Burley, you have to look at his numbers. People say, well, he didn't have that long of a career. He didn't really have that much postseason success or postseason appearances because in his short time in the postseason, he had lots of success. He just didn't get that many postseason opportunities. And I think if you take a deeper dive into Burley's stat line, you can see why he deserves to be a Hall of Famer. Burley is or had the most votes in the out of the rookies. This Jeff Kent's or next year will be Jeff Kent's ninth ballot, and he only gets 10. So Jeff Kent only has 2 more years, and I don't know. Knowing that last year he got only third, or this year he got 32.4% of the vote, if he can actually make the hump. But between Mark Burley and Torrey Hunter, both of them first year on the ballots, Mark Burley had the best out of all the rookies with 11% of the vote, and Torrey Hunter came in second with 9.5% of the vote. I hope both of them make it in. However, I really do not know. I mean, some of the future of this ballot is very interesting. We're going to have guys like Big Papi, who I don't know if he'll be a first ballot, but he'll definitely get in between his first two ballots. The only reason I say I don't know if he'll be in on his first ballot, just because I don't know if he can get enough votes to get in on the first one. But he will definitely get in at some point. We're going to have 10 years of A Rod, just like we've had the past 10 years of Clemens and Bonds and Sosa. We're now going to have 10 years of A Rod. A Rod does not deserve to be in. He was a cheater, and the guys that cheat don't deserve to make it in. Some other interesting names that are going to be in the first, that are going to have their first ballot next year, is guys like Jimmy Rollins, Carl Crawford, Jake Peavy, Justin Morinua, Prince Fielder, who I think will definitely make it in out of for sure behind Big Papi. The next guy that's going to be in for guaranteed is Prince Fielder, or at least should be. Tim Lucium, Juan Uribe has the opportunity to make it on the ballot. I don't know if he will or not, but I think he deserves to at least be a ballot. AJ Przinsky and Ryan Howard. All of those names are incredible baseball players. However, I don't think, including Big Papi, any of them will be first ballot. I think guys like Fielder should get in with his like fourth or fifth. I think Big Papi should get in his second or third. I think A Rod should be on there the next 10 years. And an interesting point, sorry, going back to the cheating point, an interesting thing that heard is, I don't remember who said it, but they said if the MLB doesn't want cheaters in and they want to say, well, don't put in guys that cheated and put in guys that respected the game and played it honorably, then how are they allowing them on the ballot year after year? I think that is a very good point, and I think that that's something that I think the MLB in the Hall of Fame should look at is they need to make the moral compass decision. And if you put somebody like Barry Bonds on the ballot, I don't think he should ever be put in the Hall of Fame, but I agree with the point that if you put him on the ballot, that means you're okay with him being in there as a cheater. Yet in the guy's speech, he said Hall of Fame members are people that are honorable and all that. Yet you're putting him on the ballot, so that means you're giving him the opportunity at least to get enough votes to get in. Anyways, I think guys like those guys, Joe Nathan, other first year balloters, and guys that were on the ballot this year that'll have their second seasons, third seasons, and I think that I don't know how many people we're going to see in the next couple years. I think Big Papi will be one of them, but I think we're going to have a couple years without or with nobody going in. This year had the record of 14 empty blank ballots, and the last time that there was a nobody put in was 2013. This will be the sixth or seventh time, and uh, there's been 22 players put in since 2013. When you look at the fact that over the entire history of the MLB, there's only 140 players, knowing that 22 have gone in the last 7 years, you might not think is a lot at first, but really that's a lot. Thank you very much for listening to today's episode of Caden's Take. I hope that you enjoyed. If you did, please hit that like button. Tell me who you think is going to make it into the Hall of Fame on next year's ballot in the comments section below. And please do consider subscribing if you're new, and have a great rest of your day.